Hi, welcome back. I want to do a quick share with you of a project that I've completed. I'm trying to get all of my to-do list done so I can begin my Christmas crafting. Ugh, you know how you always think you're going to have time and then it just gets away from you. So anyway, this is a really cool project I did. This was a swap in a group, one of my favorite groups on Facebook called Trashy Junk Journals. And this was a tea themed journal swap. And the group usually has very few, I would say very few parameters, but this time there were a few more and I thought it was really quite fun. So you're making a tea themed journal and you had to make it out of tea packaging, tea bags, anything tea related that wasn't scrapbook related. So you could use magazine pages that had tea themes. You could use book pages and envelopes recycled. You could paint, draw, or anything like that. But you couldn't use like stamps or any commercially made scrapbooking items that were tea themed. You could use napkins though, or to do a decoupage, that sort of thing. So I definitely had a lot of envelopes. So the first thing I did was I got out my stash of envelopes and I started doing jelly printing. And jelly printed, I try to keep all the packaging that I get in the mail. Some of it's usable and some of it isn't. So I jelly printed, 10 or 12 different types of different colors of mailing envelopes that I had in this small size. And then I was like, oh, I didn't have any magazines. So after thought, well, should I draw on it? What should I do? So finally I decided to do tissue paper. So I used a permanent thin marker, black marker, very fine pointed, and I drew teapots and teacups. Then I ripped the pieces apart and I went back and I used my Mod Podge and I put them on the envelopes. I really love how they came out. I'm not a great drawer, so by any means, but what I did enjoy about the whole thing was that I could customize it, and each one I was going to make was going to be uniquely its own thing with its own personality. So here is the one that I have completed for my swap partner. I used some fabric remnants, some little scraps that I had in my stash for the tie, and I, as you can see, did the same thing that the tissue paper, drew my tissue paper and then tore it and applied it with Mod Podge. I really loved how it came out. I didn't notice it when I was doing it, but I really loved the movement of the teacups. Tearing it out, I wasn't quite aware how it was coming out, but I'm really happy with it. Inside is filled with tea packaging. So the packaging of tea bag came in. I made tags from tea boxes. I made paperclip embellishments from the bits that hang off the tea bag. I'm not quite sure what that's actually called. Here is a hand fussy cut flowers that out of different types of tea bags and then sewed them directly onto the page. You can see the sewing on the back. Originally, I thought I would do the thing just this monochromatic colors of the tea, and my daughter, I have a younger daughter who's 10, she said, Mom, that's the most boring journal I've ever seen. So I said, all right. Tea packaging, and then inside I've more little tea tags from packaging. Some of them I jelly printed and some of them I left just as they are. This one's jelly printed, but the backs are blank, so they can be used for journaling. And then a little paperclip embellishment. I made a little tuck spot sewing a piece of the tea bag. Made my library pocket that I love to make out of the used book page, and then just sewed a piece of the tea bag right on it. And then filled it with tea themed tags. And this one is just one that I jelly printed on and drew, and then the others are just right from the tea bag, so she can, and the tea box, so she can, do do with it how she would like. I did tea dye all of the paper all at the same time, and it's remarkable how they all came out different colors. Just a tea bag pocket. This was my favorite one. I sewed it on two sides like this, and then I took it to the page and I sewed it onto the page, and it's a flap. And inside is a tag, a tea tag. Another hand cut flower. I wanted this journal to be, usually my journals are really crowded or have a lot of really busy, right? I wanted this one to be, so she could actually use it as a functional writing journal if she wanted, or glue to it. I mean, this is copy paper. That was one thing you could do, is use tea-dyed copy paper, so I wanted her to be able to have that. This, I sewed 6 tea bags together. I sewed them in pairs, and then sewed a zigzag straight down the middle after I'd sewed them in pairs, and it makes little pockets. I think at some point I will go back and make my own tea-themed, monochromatically tea-colored journal, just for the fun of it. Used, the covering for a tea bag, for the pocket. I actually love the monochromatic browns. Just because, I don't know if any of you have tried this before, but I have done this in the past with other tea. I haven't done that many tea-related things, but I have stamped on tea bags. So I did sew a few tea bags in there as pages themselves, in hopes that she would try and do her stamping on them as well. One thing you have to keep in mind, though, if you're going to stamp, is put something underneath it, like a piece of wax paper or something, because it will definitely bleed through. I sewed just a little piece for a tab, and for all of you that make vintage style journals, this is a great tab, using these tea bags and just zigzagging them onto a coffee stained or tea dyed page. I love this group, Trashy Junk Journals. If you guys want something that just stretches your imagination and just is so fun, great, great, great group of people. Just lovely ladies, and a few men, but just so fun. Another hand-cut flower. More tea bag packaging. This is kind of fun. You might like this. So, I took the packaging and then cut paper, just tea-dyed plain paper, right? And then sewed it at the top of my sewing machine and then folded it back up. Wouldn't this be fun to send to your pen pal with some cool, like, tea bag, or just even cool jelly printed paper that you made? Isn't that cool? Keep it in your purse for like a list. And this is kind of fun. This is a hidden paperclip embellishment. If you've been watching my channel, I made some magazine paperclip embellishments. And and I did make them hidden. I just couched the paper so that you wouldn't see it. And one of my subscribers, her name is Ann Jambor. Shout out to you, Ann. She's made the suggestion that why didn't I notch it? And I said, perfect idea. So I thought before we end our sharing today, I'll show you what I did at Ann's suggestion, and it works out brilliantly. This is just a tea bag that I folded a portion of it up and then just sewed it on two sides. And the other part's caught in the binding. But, it makes 2 little pockets, one in the front, one in the back. It's remarkable. You can have you can drink tea from the same box, and the pages come out looking differently. This is a really kind of fun little embellishment. Also got that hidden paperclip idea on the back. I put a notch in the paper in the bag. It's a tea wrapping, right? And put the paperclip in, and then I just cut around it, fussy cut a little bit, and inside is a tag. But it's a kind of fun way if you wanted to send something fun. I am going to add a few more things to her journal. I just want it to be a surprise for her. I'm going to give you a whole look at the movement of this. I just really enjoyed the way this part of it came out. Just the way the teacups and the teapots move, the energy that they have. Isn't that cool? I did make her a little journaling charm out of just packaging. And I drew teacups on all of it and then painted, and then I used diamond glaze. And I love diamond glaze. If you haven't tried it, I so suggest you do. So while we're still sharing, I want to talk to you about the paperclip embellishment thing. So in my previous video I did magazine inspired embellishments, I sandwiched the paperclip between two pieces of cardboard, but I would always make the front one bigger than the back one, and at Ann's suggestion, she thought I should notch it. Now most people make paperclip embellishments like this, right? A lot. Not everyone, but a lot. This way you're making paperclip embellishments where the clip is hidden in the back. Now you can only hide it as far as the length can only be hidden as far as the piece, the paper clip will only be covered up so much based on how big the piece is, right? But I thought it was cute. So I thought maybe I'd share with you how to do it. So on this, like for this Lipton lid, you just want to measure, take your paper clip, right? Now you'll see that it's not going to be completely covered even if it's all the way at the top, because the paper clip is larger than the piece. But you can still do a fairly hidden paper clip instead of having one down here. What you want to do is you want to notch near the top, as far up to the top as you can. Now this has got a staple on it, so I'm going to cut a little slit right below. I'm going to cut a little slit right below the staple. And I'm just using a razor blade, but you can use anything. I also have an X-Acto knife somewhere here on my table. And I have a self-healing mat. This is like one that you would use for quilting or something like that. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I like to put the skinny part on the inside. The skinny part of the paper clip on the inside, and then glue. And then I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to make sure you put enough glue around the paper clip part, and I'm going to sandwich it in. Well, I hope you've enjoyed my little tutorials and my little shares. I hope you try this paperclip hidden paper clip suggested by Ann Jambor. And as always, I'm wishing you the craftiest of days. Take care. Aloha.